News Channel 5 Network. This is OpenLine.
I have a daughter lives in Dunwoody.
Hello everyone, welcome to OpenLine. I'm Ben Hall. Good show tonight. We are talking about one of the big issues that people in Nashville talk about lately, traffic. What can we do about it? And we're going to be talking about the new mass transit plan, the proposal that's out there. It'll cost some money, but what will it do? Where does it take us? Why do we need it? What are your thoughts? We want to touch on all of that tonight. Happy to have with us two people who can help us with this. Walter Searcy, who is the spokesperson for Transit for Nashville. Thank you for being with us.
Well, thanks for having us.
And Erin Hafkenschiel, Director of the Mayor's Office of Transportation and Sustainability. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
All right, we have plenty of time. This is a big issue. Let's talk about, I want to talk about cost and some of the details and that kind of thing. But first, let's start with why do we need this? It may seem obvious for anybody who drives around our roads, but who wants to take that? Why do we need this, Walter?
Sure. One reason we need it is because we've been needing it for the past 2 decades and more. We have been growing and bursting at the seams, and it's been the biggest kept secret apparently on the planet, because we have a transportation system that's more equipped to handle horses and buggies as opposed to a 21st century demand for an economy that we're facing today, let alone what it's going to be like 20, 25 years from now.
And so when we talk about this transit plan, how would you define it? For somebody who's just coming in, they're like, what is this transit plan that we are talking about?
Well, in general terms, it's really an infrastructure investment to ensure that our city can continue to move forward. In more specifics, it's a pretty massive expansion in our bus service. It's a 50% increase in our bus fleet, 41% increase in our bus service hours, 5 light rail lines, and 4 rapid bus corridors. 5 light rail lines and 4 corridors, these rapid bus corridors. We can talk more about that.
Yeah.
What's the cost? I mean, I've seen the numbers thrown around, $5.2 billion for, I guess, infrastructure improvement. What are the numbers when we're talking about
$5.2 billion or less.
Or less?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, so that's the...
If our pencils are sharp enough and we can stay on task for all of the build-out period, who knows? We may come in under budget and short on time.
Ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
I think we're seeing from cities across the country that because you have to remember that building light rail lines in U.S. cities was pretty new in the 90s, and so I think a lot of light rail systems got a really bad rap because they often came in over budget and over time. But cities, we've gotten a lot better, and our modeling has gotten better, our budgeting projections have gotten better, so I completely agree. I think we're erring on the side of being conservative.
Absolutely.
and absolutely hope that
and
we
of
can
course
come in under budget.
Probably the only good thing that we can say about being behind is we have all these models now that we can take a look at and eliminate some of their errors in our process.
Because other cities have done this.
Other cities have done this.
That's one of the, I guess you have complaints on both sides. You have people saying, other cities have done this. Is this the appropriate way to go? But yeah, you're saying we can look at what they've done and learn from what they've done.
Absolutely.
People like to see trains and that kind of form of transportation.
Sexy.
It is. That's the one they
trains and tunnels.
And
yeah.
Does this have that, or what do you say to people that?
Well, we do have a train already in existence. The Music City Star services Wilson County to the riverfront and points in between, with additional points being contemplated. But the rail that we're talking about is not the kind of iron horse image. We're talking about surface light rail that is more akin to your grandparents' streetcar, only a lot sleeker, greater capacity, a lot quieter, and certainly built and designed to be relevant for the next half century.
Why do we think that's the way to go? Why is it light rail?
Well, a couple of reasons. You look at our city and what our pikes actually present for us, and we don't have a lot of options to continue to add roadway. So what we want to do is encourage persons to get out of their cars and off those roadways and into conveyances that carry mass persons, i.e. mass transit. And the way to do that is to have a reliable, on-time service that runs as close to 24/7 as you can approximate, as you can logistically reasonably put out here, and people will ride, particularly when parking alone is prohibitive for many of us. You talk about coming downtown and paying $20 a day for parking, $600 a month. Well, we'll back out the weekends. Although some people are here 6-7 days a week, even though they may not actually live here. There seems to be some attraction in Nashville. It's not clear exactly what it is, but it certainly is attractive. So we have that. But bus rapid transit is also, or what we call rapid bus.
Right.
Is also a very attractive feature because it too will have dedicated lanes with platform access and egress, so that people like me, for example, don't have to be ramped in every time they want to get on a bus or get off of one. And so there are a lot of attractive features. I guess the most attractive one is, as I was saying earlier, that I'll be able to drive my car to a transit point and park it, ride into the central city, and not have to worry about anything other than on my return visit, on my return back to my car, headed home to wherever that may be, going back to my husband.
And I want to get back, to some of the details where those corridors are in a moment, but I also want to ask the time frame here. All right, so where are we in this whole process right now? And Erin, I'll let you take that. We're going to vote on this, right? I mean, we here in Davidson County are going to vote on this. Where are we as far as this whole process goes?
It does feel like we've been talking about this for a long time, but it is a long process. And so what we've done so far is the end motion plan, which was really our strategic plan, our vision for what we wanted to see. And the only thing I would add to what Walter just said was that we went out to Nashvillians and said, do you want to go big and bold on light rail, or do you want to just do bus and bus rapid transit? Overwhelmingly, Nashvillians said they wanted light rail, and so we're really listening to those responses. So that was the first step, our strategic plan. This last summer, the MTA and RTA did the high capacity corridor study, which was really sort of the initial feasibility analysis around could we do light rail on the identified pikes and corridors. May 1st is our next big milestone, obviously, for the referendum. But light rail projects do take about 10 to 12 years, depending on the environmental review process you have to do, design and engineering. So a lot of people have asked questions about why aren't there stops and stations on the maps that we've seen. It's because they haven't been decided yet. Generally light rail stops are about a half mile apart, but there can be ranges there depending on intersections, where access points are, what the neighborhood wants. So a lot of those decisions are going to be made after the referendum passes.
The referendum is May 1st.
Yes.
And that's the city voting.
Yes.
Correct.
And there's going to be a lot of talk between now and then.
A lot of talk.
What are you seeing?
But more talk after then,
And
if we pass it.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you seeing? You said you were both out at an event at 7:30 this morning. Here you are now at 7 o'clock tonight talking about this. You're talking about it all over the county. What sort of response are you getting? You're getting some hard questions, I'm sure. But what is the response?
You know what the chief negative response that we're getting? It ain't big enough.
Really?
The routes are not, you're not extending the light rail far enough. More than any one other negative point. Of course, funding is always an issue. If we could do this thing for $2 million, somebody would be raising Cain about it. It's an expensive proposition, but we're not spending it all at once, and there are several checkpoints along the way. Because let's be frank about it, we built the Gallatin Road light rail, build it out along Gallatin Road. That's our first projected route for light rail,
right.
And nobody rides. They just totally space on it. Not all of our projections go down the tubes. Well, that's the end of that process. We go back to the drawing board and do something else. But we will not have exhausted the entire budget for this thing on that one development.
Right.
So there are, and all along the way, as Erin said, there will be opportunities for citizens to weigh in on what kind of coffee beans they want in the machine at the transit stop.
They can weigh in on that. You said it's not big enough. I bet people do want to see it even bigger.
Sure.
But then they see the price tag and they go, boy, but maybe.
Which is where we are. Yeah. It would be bigger.
But I think overwhelmingly, I think we've been surprised by the positive response. We've been going out. We've already had 2 open houses. Our second open house is tomorrow night at Lentz Public Health Center on Charlotte Avenue, and all those conversations have been fantastic. People have been coming. They've been asking questions. They've been wanting to learn more. And so I think for anybody that was here for the AMP process, that was really our eye-opening situation where this raised, everybody started asking questions about transit, learning about transit. So I think Nashvillians actually are pretty well educated on these issues, and we know we need to do something. We know congestion's getting worse. We know 1 million more people are coming to the region, and it's not going to get any better unless we invest now. And like we've talked about, we've got so many other cities that have done this before us, and so we know what works and what doesn't. So we know that Gallatin will be successful when it opens.
There it is. There it is.
All right, we're going to take a break. If you're on the line, hold on. There are a couple callers on there. There's the number to call, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. We want to hear from you. What do you think? Take a break. Be back right after this.
It's our third, actually.